So yeah, I mean, you just click on the link again and poof, there you are.
Kick me out.
It looks like Sam tried to join us, and so maybe I'll send him a link and I can tell him what happened. Shoot. So, I mean, if any one of you want to try your hand at it, I would welcome the help. You know, if you want to sort of help me with that end of things, and you may not have to do a lot of heavy lifting, but like we could sit down and sort of parse through it together. But again, I think maybe a working meeting would be good to sort of at least take a stab at and get everybody's input.
So just to make sure that, you know, I'm explaining myself. Well, so when I say prioritization, it does not mean make this go faster. That's not what I'm getting at all. You know, it's just as a committee to go through and see all the things that are there and which things should come first and which things should come later. That's right. What I'm getting at. And so as we're developing an understanding of all the things that we'd like to do, you can't do them all at once and you have to prioritize, but you have to get feedback in order to do that, because you can't, obviously we don't have resources to do all, and no committee is ever going to have resources to do everything at the same time. So at some point, you know, I'd like to, and I don't know if we're there yet, but I think we're getting close. It would like just kind of be able to start ranking things, you know, as a committee. I mean, there's the ongoing business where you got to take care of course, on the day, and then things change every month, every day, every week. And then there's the longer term things that we just have to be thinking about. What's the priorities that we want to focus on, and all agree on those things.
Yeah. I was just going to say, in my opinion, that I think the biggest bang for our buck is to be more visible. And I know I'm guilty of it too. We all have so many other priorities, but just going to some planning board meetings, going to some, you know, just trying to actually be visible instead. I mean, yes, the website's going to be eventually updated, is going to be an excellent tool, but I think just being visible around town, I think like I forget, one of the person at the meeting last time, she said that there was a vote or something, and you know, this woman could have used our help from the EDC and no one was there. And so I mean, that speaks volumes. So I'm guilty of it too. I'm just saying that if we can try to at least spread ourselves out and try to get more presence in town, and so people at least see we're trying to attend meetings and events.
So I went to 2 last week. I went to the planning board.
Thank you.
And then I put in about an 11-hour day on Tuesday because I met with the select board members for their office hours. And I wanted to do that before town meeting. And so, you know, these things eat up those 19.5 hours. Like I said, I'm already at 40 hours this week. So, and we have a pay period that's turning over. So I'm going to have to forward those hours onto the next pay period.
Yeah. But you heard but Kathy Cook appreciates, you said, Leah's always, you know, always at the office hours. And so that's getting noticed. And that's where you're doing an excellent job, at least getting our name out there and trying to, you know, be a presence. So I think that's been pretty helpful.
Yeah, I mean, this is where I think in times past, Marijke had a much fuller committee, and those people were all actively engaged doing various things. And one of the suggestions was for them to divvy up among them the most consequential boards and committees that they needed to sort of track developments. And so each one would sort of take on a board, and they, even if they didn't go to the meeting in person, they could tune into the meeting on YouTube because it gets recorded. And you know, you can't be in all places all at once, everything everywhere all at once. You just can't. And there's 55 boards and committees in Southborough. And the reason that we don't collaborate as effectively as we could is because, like you, most people have day jobs. Then they have extracurriculars. They have family commitments. And then they're trying to do this as well. And so then to try to then coordinate with other boards and committees is just a bridge too far. people they're siloed because they only have so much bandwidth. And so, sadly, that's just the reality. People are overextended. There's only so many hours in the day. And so, again, I like to go to the ones that I know there's something that, we have a vested interest in, like zoning changes.
Sure.
And I think showing up in real time, it does make a difference to actually be a physical presence rather than just even zooming in. But yeah, I mean, those are things that, I'll try to let you know when I'm aware of something that we need to be paying attention to. But there may even be things that escape my attention. So, just another reason that I think being full-time is going to create a little bit more ease for me. So I will be able to attend, evening meetings and adjust my schedule as needed to do that.
And what do you think the possibility of getting someone from planning board or select board to attend our meetings? I know we were trying to pursue that, weren't we?
Well, I mean, right now, Sam is he tried to join us, and I'm trying to email him right now.
Right.
And so he's pretty good. Like, if he's got the time, he'll show up. And I do think it was really nice of Deb DeMaria, planning board member and the chair of the Master Plan Implementation Committee, that she came, as well as Mimi Luttrell back in March. So yeah, of course, it's a two-way street. People are more than welcome to attend. I mean, unfortunately, because of the technical difficulty and how this got set up tonight, I'm not sure how that's going to play out. I might get an earful. I don't know what happened, but at the very least, it's being recorded, and if they want to upload it to their YouTube channel, they're more than welcome to do that. So let me get back to sorry, I had to switch out of the screen that I was in. It's my spreadsheet. Yeah, can you see my screen, or are you still on the spreadsheet?
I see. We see you.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't have a document up.
Oh, okay. Okay, so let me.
Since we log back in.
That's true. That's true
Yeah,
that we log back in, and so I'll get back. I'll pull the spreadsheet back up, and then. I guess I just felt like on the tracker, there wasn't anything that was so urgent on here that we couldn't go into this and give it a little bit more time in October. But it looks like, Coy, you were only available for one day in October. Was that Wednesday, October 16th, according to the scheduling pool? Or do you have any more flexibility?
I will check with you. I have 3 different events going on in October. One.
Do you mind if I'm going to send you guys a reset scheduling poll for October, and we can actually do October, November.
Okay.
And we'll just try again, because it seems like people's schedules are kind of a work in progress.
Yeah, but I've given you a heads up that, October is going to be a tough month.
Okay.
Just because I have to be like in person in Boston, in New Hampshire, like 3 weeks in a row. It's just that there's a lot of work event where they pull people from all over the world together, so I can't miss it. But it's going to be a tough one. But feel free to send out. But that's the day that I think like most open for me right now, and I feel it in. So.
Okay, it sounds like Karen had something come up for the 16th, and so there's a conflict that isn't going to work for her. So, and since that was they had a little bit more flexibility, both Michael and Karen, but I think you only had that one date down as being available for the entire month. So I'll just reset it and resend it, and we'll see what happens.
Okay.
So can you see the tracker again?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're on to, again, I think that was good talking about the website because that gives me a sense of what's important to you guys. And we can talk about that more at a subsequent meeting. And hopefully I'll have made some preliminary changes for you in the interim. So then the Lombardo Associates Wastewater Management Action Plan, just to let you guys know that one of the things that I put in front of Sam Stivers and Al Hamilton at their office hours was this report that Claire provided, as well as the Weston and Sampson Route 9 report. And when I sent it to them, I think Sam wanted it as a soft copy via email. I just ended up seeing the entire select board. So they have it. And so essentially it's sort of like, okay, over to you, select board. And we may need to go and talk to them again at an office hours and gauge, you know, what their feedback is and if there's any options that they might want to move forward on. But it's kind of something that I think we should not lose sight of, because there could be other grant opportunities to further the work. And I want the town to keep that in mind. And it's really kind of the select board that has to drive the bus on that. So anything you want to weigh in on that, Claire? On the wastewater?
Yeah, if anybody has any questions, I mean, this is one of the things that is going to happen when we start getting into One Stop is One Stop has a program. Part of it is called the development continuum, and it has to be understood in terms of all of these studies that we have done as a town over the last few years is all working towards what we want to see as a goal for the next project that we have, which has to be the Route 9 plan. So if anybody has any questions on that, I'm more than glad to.
So do you all understand that Route 9 has a lot of things that need to be addressed? It's wastewater, it's
zoning,
improved traffic flow, it's improved accessibility to other modes of transit, whether that be by foot or on a bike or, you know, infrastructure. And so when Rob talks about doing a corridor study, which is what we want to pursue, getting One Stop grant funding for, the zoning is one piece of that. But a corridor study is going to look at it holistically. Okay. And so that's why zoning is pretty significant chunk of what needs to be improved and updated along Route 9, but it's not going to be the only thing. And wastewater is a really critical component.
Were we sent the wastewater report? I just don't remember. Maybe I was.
It's if you look at it right there in your tracker, Michael, it's the hyperlink, and so you just click on that. And
it's hyperlink there. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Great. I'll take a look at it. Thank you.
Okay.
And Jill, Michael, since you brought the question up, there's a couple components of it. There was the Route 9 study that Weston Sampson did. There is the additional stuff that was covered because we came with the grant money because we came in under budget. And then that's when Lombardo Associates was hired to actually put together an action plan. You know, you can study all the stuff to death, but unless you have the next step after that in terms of, okay, what's the action plan? And what this did was, and that's what made it so attractive, was it took not only the current study of Route 9, but it also took the previous study that had been done of downtown. Both were funded by the state. And So that, and I never knew anything about wastewater, and I really learned a lot, and it's very, very interesting in terms of how we could tie the whole thing together as a town. The thing is that there has to be a willingness on everybody's part to just sit down at a meeting that isn't like a regularly scheduled monthly meeting. It's kind of like a working session to say, do we really understand this and what is it that we want to do? And then that all falls into what we need to do with the next one-stop submission for zoning.
Well, I think that you could also potentially pursue something under the one-stop. There's 13 grants available under the one-stop program. And so not necessarily, you know, you could pursue a separate grant on the wastewater end of it, possibly, just, but it's.
Oh, absolutely. You know, that's what, that has been one of my frustrations, that every time one stop comes up, it's one stop.
Yeah.
And you know, I mean,
And it's
come on,
multiple.
okay.
You could
have to-
file unlimited applications and
Exactly.
expressions of interest.
And if the
You're
town
not
took
limiting you.
advantage of the fact that you can submit multiple expressions of interest and took advantage of that, it would give us a big jump.
Yeah. So that's why I'm saying we should not take our eye off the ball with this. Because I really like the way that the report was put together, and it really is even more cogent, I think, as far as creating options and potential next steps and possible solutions for the town to pursue than even the Weston and Sampson report along Route 9. And so it just seems like it's a little bit further along. And I think that we need to forward it. So
yeah, I mean, I'm just glancing at it. It looks pretty interesting. Good,
Who have seen this report in our town? This has been forwarded to the planning board.
no, it's gone to the select board.
You're going to the select board.
Yeah,
Okay.
It's
both-
available to anyone. And, you know, Leah had mentioned previously about the website. And I think that the website needs an overhaul. And it just, you know, websites are constantly getting developed, redeveloped, changed, and whatever. Those of us who have websites know this, you guys all know it. And it just needs to be updated all the time. And that's the best place to post all this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it needs to be a full-time position. That's all I can say. Yet again, if you want me to be the web
question that came up-
administrator, the social media guru, all the channels on blast all the time, going to all the meetings, updating you guys, doing committee development, education, training resources, minutes. I mean, come on. I'm gonna be burned out before you even get me to the full-time position.
It's just like 2 resources at a full-time job.
It's you know, this was never meant to be a half-time position. It's just, you can't do it. You just can't do it. And so that's like Michael said, we have to just pick and choose what are the top 3, top 5 priorities. But for me, you know, I go into work and then things come up. You know, people get displaced from their business location, and then I got to jump in and help them and find alternatives. That's not a quick and easy thing to do. I have to really take time to parse through that, look at all the zoning, look at the uses, put it all together, and send it on its way.
Maybe we need to blast out your good success stories somehow. You know,
I mean,
just so people know the success. Like, so I don't know if there's a way, if the website's not up and running, maybe we have.
I like to do stuff. I am not good, and Claire will tell you, I am not good on the self-promotion end of it.
I know,
I
but
just
I
want to
think that's,
go in and do it.
I know, but I think that's what people need to see because the
Yeah, it's the
image of
whole
EDC
tooting my own horn thing. It's just not,
I get
it's-
that, but I think,
doesn't motivate me.
oh, I know, and it's not, it doesn't have to be you, but it has to, we have to at least try to position or re-image the EDC, and people might not know of all the recent wins of keeping businesses.
And I think that's a good segue into the town meeting.
Yeah.
We don't need to really talk about, I don't think, the Municipal Empowerment Act at this point in time. I mean, we can put that off to the next meeting. And again, Michael, they just updated the select board's office hours through the end of the year. And so if you want a chance to go in and talk to them outside of attending an actual select board meeting, that's a really good time to go and just sit down with them and talk about anything that's on your mind. And the same thing is that, you could certainly set up a meeting with Mark Purple and Melanie for their availability and yours. So that's just to understand that that's always an option.
How do we know their availability?
It's right on the select board's website. They just
Okay.
updated their select board office hours going through the end of the year. So I went to, and Claire went last Tuesday evening. And they usually rotate it. So this last time it was Sam Stivers and Al Hamilton. And, the next time they do it in October, it'll be someone else. It'll be any of the 5 select board members.
Okay.
Just something I wanted to tell you is I did insert the little Otter AI tab, and the reason is that when we have our Otter record these things and provide the transcript, it'll pluck out the things that we discuss that it considers action items. And so, this is kind of redundant, like the Lombardo Associates is on this as well, but we discussed it at the last meeting. There's nothing on here that hasn't already been addressed or seen to. The salon stuff, we've been there, done that. Water under the bridge. You guys got the Google Form scheduling poll via Google Form survey. But I'm just letting you know that I stuck that in there for these little kind of short-term action items between meetings. I didn't want to commingle it because I don't want our short-term list to get inordinately long. And I'm probably going to make this one disappear. I'm just going to hide it. It'll still be there, but I'm just going to hide the row so that we're only focused on the things that we currently need to be focused on. So I'm going to get out of this screen share. And I think we want to go on to talking about town meeting. And that's really kind of the big overarching bugaboo between now and the end of the month. Are you all going to be able to attend, for one?
Yes.
I'm planning to, yeah.
I'm planning to.
Awesome. You have anybody else that that can attend and vote yes on, what is it, Article 14, Claire? I can't vote. I'm not a resident.
Was it on page 22 or something like that?
Yeah, it's on page 22. Yeah.
Originally, some of the documentation, or if you went through the past meetings, it was referred to as Article 16. It ended up being 14.
The one I'm reading now, 14, is the assessor over place surplus.
Is what?
I'm looking at the 14 now. I don't see Leah on it. 16 is the one for the full-time
It
position.
is, okay.
Right?
It is 16. Yeah. Okay.
16, yeah. I'm actually looking at the document now, so I just want to make sure I focus on the thing. Yeah.
Okay, but keep in mind there's been several iterations of it.
Right. So how do we get the most current one? Is it posted somewhere?
Well, the one that it should be, and then also I forwarded you the email from Melanie, Mark Purple's executive assistant, and this was what went to the printer.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is the official latest document that they'll be using at the town meeting. And
Yep.
I've got it. If you want me to do a screen share, I can, but
So Leah, I'm just follow your link on the tracker.
Or the email
Might
from
not be
9/11.
updated.
The email
no,
from
that's the
9/11.
no, that's the one that I got from Melanie.
The tracker one.
Yep.
Yep. So on the tracker link, would take you to the town meeting and to Article 16. So
Okay, so it's 16, Claire. It's not 14. Because I've only got one
I'm
town
gonna
meeting
double
warrant.
check that.
I only got one town meeting warrant. I never had a draft, so this is the only one, and it's the one that I got from Melanie that she just sent out.
Okay, no,
do I understand it correctly that they'll go top to bottom or no? I didn't attend the town meeting last year, so is there like a certain timing that we need to go in?
Well, I
Following
think
the
this is
article?
the cue to turn it over to Claire, because I'm a Californian and we don't do stuff like this. So we got to speak
Can I
to
just-
someone with experience.
Can I just ask, or the one from Melanie that you forwarded on 9/11 still does say it's Article 14, so I'm a little confused. But
thank you.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
Coy,
okay.
Coy, where are you getting?
I don't see 16 anywhere. I don't know.
Tracker from a tracker. Click on the link on a
But-
tracker.
But
No, click on the one in the agenda. And there shouldn't, they're this,
yeah.
they should be the same document.
I clicked on the link on the one on the tracker, and it looks like 14 on mine.
And I just went to the email one, so that says 14 from Melanie.
right,
Okay.
It's the only one that I had. And so it's the same one that's
Okay.
linked in all
It-
locations.
it's the one that they voted the $27,000+ for the position, which was for the full-time hours,
Mhm.
January 1st. And then it was because the question got asked, does that include benefits? And the answer was yes.
Well, yeah, it'll start at 7 p.m. and then I don't know how long these first ones will take. It depends if there's really ones that are going to be long discussions before we get to 14 or 16. So
Right, you are. So the moral of the story, folks, is,
you never know.
make sure that everybody's tuned in to, you all have friends and everything. Make sure that everybody is tuned into the meeting so that they're down there to, vote when the article comes up.
And that's just something where you can come and go and vote on whatever you want.
Yeah, you can leave. Is it going to be like the other town one where we get the little
Clickers,
electronic thing clicker?
Yeah.
And then if you have to leave, you hand in your clicker, and then you come back and you get another clicker. So you
Right.
vote.
yeah.
I tend to think that they put this where they did in the order. Maybe there was some reasoning behind it, but I assume this is probably going to be late. And then what's the cutoff time when they call the meeting and then they then continue it on to the,
Is it 11 for the next day or?
No, what happens is they start when they have a quorum. So this will be on the 30th. They start when they have a quorum and they go until typically till 11 o'clock. So if you end up with, say, maybe 1 or 2 articles left and it looks like it can get finished up that night, they'll take a vote of the whole to say, you guys want to all stay to continue. Or if they have too much stuff that realistically they're not going to be able to take care of that night, then they will, it'll go over to the October 1st.
Okay, well, Claire, do you have anything that you want to share with the committee
Yes.
as far as what you're thinking between now and then?
Yes. And this is just kind of a follow-up on the background information that I sent out to you folks. I sent out the one email that you received on Saturday morning, and then I sent up a follow-up this afternoon. Here's the thing. If you go back and you look at, I've been to a lot of town meetings, and nobody can predict what's going to happen. The priority that the EDC has right now is that getting Article 14 to pass for a full-time position. Now, it could, because fortunately, it is supported by the advisory committee unanimously, and it's supported by the select board unanimously. So you could have people who say, hey, these guys approve of it and everything, just let's pass it through, and that would be the best of all circumstances. You could also have some people stand up and say, well, what about this and what about that? How I'm happening to say that is from experience in the past. And when Rob Anderson and Alan Belniak were trying to put together support for the full-time position a couple years ago, I mean, the questions that came even before it went to town meeting were just absolutely bizarre. You have to understand, people don't understand the numbers and everything. And the best thing that happened was the meeting on the 27th, where everybody said, it looks like the EDC is doing a lot more than we all recognize. And as you know, if you look at the numbers, everything is net positive with the numbers. All of these things are not understood. So my recommendation is to, and it's 2 weeks from tonight, that we'll all be at town meeting voting on this. And this is your chance to be able to, put forth what the EDC has been doing. And several of the advisory board members were extremely supportive of the EDC and the full-time position, but they had some very good recommendations. And that's why I put together the thing that says, hey, the priority for the next 2 weeks is get out there and make sure that we're doing the best to promote economic development. I don't know what questions you have from what I wrote. I don't know if you understand Leah's time constraints. I will tell you, I have been through this several times before. And my last email that I sent out to you this afternoon says, the last thing that has to be done for town meeting is a one-sheet handout that said why you need to support this full-time position. People do not understand the shift in the taxes. They'll understand it in a couple of years when they start seeing big increases in their property taxes, but then it'll be too late. So, I don't mean to sound self-serving or anything, but I've been around on this stuff for a while. And I think that with 2 weeks to go, unless everybody wants to huddle together, Leah needs some help in terms of putting this together. What questions do you have?
And one thing I just want to add is that we have to appreciate what Claire is bringing to us by continuing to stay involved with the EDC. Claire, for me, has been an invaluable resource. And if I didn't have Claire, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you today, because there is no one else at the townhouse who would have been able to get me clued into the job if it weren't for Claire. So Claire, because of her longtime involvement with the EDC, is, you have to consider this like she's our connective tissue from the present into the past. So over the whole 10 plus year, 11 year, 12-year trajectory since the EDC was established, first as an informal committee and then as a standing committee, she's able to be able to bridge that. And unfortunately, Julie Connolly isn't going to be able to make town meeting on the 30th. I talked to her just a day or two after we all went to the select board and a joint advisory meeting. So she won't be able to get up and advocate the way that she was for us that evening.
Well, oh, thanks, Leah. And it's been, you know, I understood the position that Leah was in, and it's only because I'm like really passionate about this stuff. And I think that sometimes you have a really good perspective looking at it from the outside in. And I'll tell you, it's great that you have the support of the advisory and the select board. You know, if you, well, Michael was there and Karen was there. Kathy Cook did a very, very good presentation on why this needs to be a full-time position. And it just, so it was kind of like, okay, the select board's convinced, the advisory committee's convinced, but the fact of the matter is you have to convince a majority of the people who attend town meeting. And this isn't front and center on their stuff. One of the presenters who was on the advisory committee, Howard Rose, said that he may have sounded a little bit when he was presenting, but he said, I did not realize that the EDC does all these things. So it was a really good compliment. And I will tell you, the committee, ever since I was on it, has, for some reason, has never done a great job of promoting what they do. Okay, but there's a lot that has been done. And you folks are new. And I remember standing up on the stage, you know, probably 5, 6, 7 years ago with Dave McKay, who was the chair, and we were fighting for a $5,000 budget for the EDC, and you know, to get a part-time coordinator paid for. So it's come a long way, but you know, it's just the whole thing of there's just been a lot of issues and stuff, and that has to just get straightened out.
So what do you and Leah suggest that is the best thing to do for us to prep up in that 2 week lead into September? I'm reading your email right now, but I want.
Thanks. So, okay. So number one, they have to understand the financials, which were presented at the select board meeting.
Yeah.
Because that just, the EDC pays for itself. Okay. The other thing is that the town has not taken advantage of the grants that it can. When you look at what has to be done with the zoning along Route 9, the traffic studies, everything that you need to do to start developing responsibly the Route 9 corridor, it has to come from grant money. The town doesn't have the money to do it. The state.
So financing grant, is there a few other things that we want to put on?
The other thing is that the town has to realize why businesses have left. I'm not trying to put it on